When I do premarital counseling with couples, we generally spend some time talking about where they see themselves as a couple and also looking at the families from which they came and how those families operated. Part of that discussion ends up by asking two questions. Number one, what things do you want to bring into your marriage and family that were a part of the families from which you came? And number two, what things do you not want to bring into your marriage and family that were a part of the families from which you came? The answers are always interesting. And the point I ultimately make is that if these are the things you want in your marriage and family, you're going to have to make an intentional effort to do that because it's all too easy for routine and life to cause us to fall back on what we did growing up. As we all together contemplate, dream, and hope for the end of staying at home and the reopening, however long that may take, I am sure most of us are wondering what post-quarantine life will look like. Perhaps we have semi-settled into a different routine than we previously had and are wondering how we will reintegrate ourselves into a similar but different one going forward. Let me ask one of my premarital questions in a slightly different way for you right now. What things do you want to keep from your quarantine experience as you move forward? May I suggest a few seeds for thought? Although it was an adjustment for many, perhaps we ought to keep the idea that families can spend time together. Family dinners, conversations, games, and simply being together were some of the benefits many families rediscovered. Yes, I know there were struggles with virtual school, and of course the ever-present bickering of siblings raised its head. Yet, how did it feel to have the time to see, listen to, and share with your family? In Luke chapter 1 in verse 17, it says that one of John the Baptist's functions as the forerunner of Jesus was to turn the hearts of the fathers back to their children. This is a reference to the prophecy of Malachi chapter 4 and verse 6, which says, "He will restore the hearts of the fathers to their children, and the hearts of the children to their fathers." Perhaps these months at home have helped you reconnect to each other. Do you want to give that up, or would you like to carry it forward? Perhaps we have also learned the lesson of Luke chapter 12 and verse 15, where Jesus says life does not consist in an abundance of possessions. Due to economics and other factors, our discretionary spending has been affected. We have had to prioritize our spending and perhaps be more creative in how and what we buy. Did your list of wants shrink as you realized that needs come first? You may have realized that less really is more as your contentment level rose. It is also true the most valuable things often don't cost anything. A child's hug, a smile, face-to-face conversations with those you love. Are you ready to push those to the back burner again and jump back into a quest for things? I believe we have all come to recognize the need for community, for being together. Sure, we have all sorts of social media platforms, but haven't you missed seeing people in 3D rather than in two-dimensional pixels? God, the God of the triune relationship of Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, created us to also be relational, to share with each other in a community of one another. We need each other in our physical families and our spiritual families. Perhaps you have spent more time on your phone rather than on your keyboard talking to people because you need to hear their voice. I pray that all of us will hold that thought when all of this is over and we are able to again join together with those we love, not just at church, but everywhere. I wonder, however, if one of the greatest lessons to be carried forward, and one we are constantly reminded of each day, is the realization of our own mortality. Ecclesiastes chapter 7 and verse 2 says, "It is better to go to a house of mourning than to go to a house of feasting, because that is the end of every man, and the living takes it to heart." My heart goes out to those families who have been touched by the death of loved ones during this crisis. Yet I must also confess that there have been times in my life I believed I was immune to that event. This virus has once again pointed out that even in health and strength, we have no guarantee of tomorrow. That should not, however, cause us to hide in fear, but rather say as the psalmist in Psalm 118, verse 24, "This is the day which the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it." Jason Gray, a contemporary Christian singer, tells us in his song, "If the life that we've been given is made beautiful in the living, and the joy that we get brings joy to the heart of the giver, then right here, right now, this is the song I'm singing. I want to live like there's no tomorrow. Love like I'm on borrowed time. It's good to be alive." There are things we have learned in this season we should take to heart and carry forward. Remember, though, it will take an intentional effort on your part and mine to do this, or the pull of the routine may draw us back into the rush of what was a lifestyle, but not our life. May God bless you as you live with Him.